Okay, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Equine Episode Examination, where today we will be talking about one of the best episodes, in my opinion, of the season and of the series, Pinkie Pride, which of course is a big episode for a lot of reasons that we will be discussing today. So we got a big episode today on Triple E, set aside 3 full hours to talk about this today, and hopefully we'll be able to get through everything we have to talk about in that time frame. Anyway, welcome to Equine Episode Examination. As I said, if this is your first time joining us and you're watching us live, please hop on over to CinemaQuestria.com and the stream section there if you want to join in on the live chat and voice your opinions on the episode, because we very much encourage everyone in chat to participate in the discussion here. And, of course, if you have, anything you want to say about that. Is that you? I think it's your mic. Someone's mic was just like, pop, 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 pop. It's not like beatboxing. Freaking John DiMaggio in here. But yeah, if we're watching this,
that would probably be one of the only ways that it could have made this episode better.
Oh god. But yeah, if you're watching this, happen to be watching this episode recorded, we do record these episodes live on Tuesdays at 5 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time over here at CinemaQuestria.com. So if you want to join in on the discussion, that is a good way to do so. Anyway, I'm Rain Shadow, just to get introductions out of the way here, and if everyone in the call here wants to also introduce themselves.
I'm Mr. Ben. I'm the popular one.
Or so they say.
Why not?
I'm Jay Smith.
I'm the loner over here on my own. I have a huge ocean in the way between me and everyone else.
You're the Griffin.
One of these days,
what?
we'll invent teleporting technology.
Yeah, but to be fair, if you did actually meet me, you'd probably be like very.
Okay, so let's get back over here so I can start advancing slides. So Pinkie Pride, yeah, obviously some big things to discuss in this episode, with it being both a musical episode and a key episode, and Pinkie Pie episode, and a has Weird Al in it, so it's a guest star episode. So quite a few things in this episode here that make it very big and very important. So what's everyone's, I guess just to start off, what everyone's overall initial thoughts on the episode?
Well, bloody fantastic, I think is probably the best way to describe it.
Yes.
I mean, the thing is, you call it a guest star episode, but they make it pretty natural, and that a character like Cheese Sandwich could very easily fit in with the show. This is the thing with like guest stars in shows. This episode takes almost the complete opposite route to like the Simpsons, or at least modern Simpsons do. So, oh, we got a guest star. Hey, look, it's a guest star. Look, guest star. Hey, look, it's a guest star. We'll have no real plot around it, but look, guest star. Look, we've got this big star here. Whereas, like, the real star of this episode wasn't really Weird Al. I think it was actually Andrea Libman as Pinkie Pie, really. But Weird Al is, absolutely fantastic in this. And I still, it was something that me and Rain were discussing before the show went to air. But this is probably the best use of Weird Al in a cartoon ever.
Yeah, and we have to echo your point there, and just, I really like how they used him in this episode. And like you said, it's a guest star episode, but they make him fit in really well. He's both, the character is both ingrained in the show and the story. It isn't just like Matt mentions The Simpsons, where half the time the guest stars are literally just playing themselves on the show, and they're just saying, hey, I'm here, I'm famous. But in this one, it's kind of weird because he both isn't playing himself and he is playing himself kind of at the same time, because they've embodied his personality in a lot of ways, especially in his music and stuff like that. But at the same time, put him in his own character that fits into the show, and it feels so natural, and it was such a great use of it that that so many other shows that have guest stars really fail at doing. And there's been a lot of other shows, especially after this episode premiered, that have had Weird Al as a guest star. Many of the shows that we all kind of watch, Gravity Falls, Star vs. Teen Titans Go had him on it. Wander Over Yonder had an episode where he guest starred on it. And of course, Adventure Time before this. And all of them...
That ended up with him basically getting his own show with Milo Murphy's Law.
Yeah.
But because really, in terms of the guest star episodes, I really think this is really his best use in it. Some of the other ones either... They like Adventure Time is a really good example. Matt and I were talking about this. It's just because it seemed like such a waste. Like, you wouldn't even know it's him. It's like anyone could have voiced the role he did there. It just seemed like he was just there to guest star, voice a character. But stuff like this and like the Wander Over Yonder episode really put him in there as his own character. Even gave him music to sing and embodied Weird Al, but still put him in the show as his own individual character.
I mean, you are, to be honest, in my opinion, you are wasting your time if you're putting Weird Al in your show and don't make him sing. What's the fucking...
Yeah.
I mean, one of the best things about the original Transformers movie was that having Weird Al on the soundtrack.
They should have got him for the for the MLP movie.
Unless, of course.
Could you imagine him collaborating with Sia? That'd be amazing.
Oh, jeez. Unless, of course, they put Weird Al in a more serious, darker movie where it's not, or say that isn't a musical like in that animated Batman movie where they had him do that really creepy voice, or his character dies even before the main title shows up.
Yeah, that I didn't
Wasn't
see
he
that,
the one
but
that did? Wasn't he the one that did one for one of the Pokemon movies as well?
Yeah,
Oh yeah, he did.
Pokemon 2000.
He did the song. He was on the soundtrack. Yeah.
Yeah, he did the
Pokemon.
Pokemon. Yeah, that's a good one. And it's Polka too. So, well, without further ado, I think everyone here agrees that this is one of the show's best. Best episodes that the show has to offer. So let's kind of dive in and discuss the whys of that. Let's start out again with the story and the writing. This episode was written by Amy Keating Rogers and had a story credit for Jason Thiessen, which is of course the director up to season 5 of the show. Not a ton of episodes have the directors as story credits, because usually the story is separate from DHX. The directors work for DHX. The story is done on Hasbro's end. So the story editor and the writers are hired by Hasbro, while the directors and a lot of the animation and storyboarding and stuff like that is done at DHX. So it's not often you see that happen with it. Obviously, Jason Thiessen was one of the ones who was really involved in getting Weird Al on the show in the first place via Twitter, like Big Jim has been for a lot of the other ones.
Is it William Anderson actually worked with Weird Al in some capacity?
Yeah, he did. Although, of course, oddly enough, he has no involvement in this episode at all. But yeah, he did have that background as well. And of course, like I said, this episode is written by Amy Keating Rogers, who kind of becomes the musical connoisseur of the show through season 5, writing both this musical episode and season 5's musical episode, as well as the alternate musical episodes in that, because both season 5 and season 4 have kind of secondary musical episodes where they aren't technically musicals, but they have a lot of songs in them. Obviously, the Countess Calatora song or episode in season 5, and in this season, a few episodes later, Philly Vanilli, which also has a lot of songs. So she kind of really got involved in the songwriting episodes. So, what about the writing and the story that she offered here that everyone enjoyed?
I think what I like most here is that we see a side to Pinkie we don't see a great deal of. I mean, with Pinkie in the past, we've seen, that she does have some kind of self-confidence issues in some regard, but she she's sort of, she's extremely happy-go-lucky. She always seems to try and find a positive, and she's always sort of, I mean, the only real exception to that, where we've seen sort of a delve into sort of, her psyche as such, was obviously Party of One, which was all the way back in season 1. And we didn't really see a lot really elaborated on that. I mean, we've seen sort of some of her insecurities, but in this one, it is specifically, I think one of the things that you do see is that she does have sort of elements of jealousy, and she's also very sort of protective of her status of being, one of, the premier party pony. But yeah, I mean, what I really love the way is the way they handle the dynamic that the two characters, obviously Cheese Sandwich and Pinkie Pie, have. And I think the best writing is probably sort of down to how it's conveyed through not only through the obviously through the dialogue, but also through the songs. I think this is probably one of the best examples of the songs forwarding the narrative extremely well. And yeah, I also absolutely love Cheese Sandwich's backstory, and it just fits perfectly sort of all into place. And really, I can't say a lot more, really.
Yeah, the writing in this really embodies sort of what a musical is and kind of what its strengths are in terms of other styles of entertainment or styles of writing or whatnot. And it really uses the songs to have us dive into what the characters, particularly Pinkie Pie, are thinking, how they're feeling, and their emotions, stuff that's really easy to express in writing, like if you're writing a book or something, but hard to express in a visual media like TV or movies. And each of the songs, like Pinkie's Lament gives us a very deep look into how she's thinking, how she feels, and why she feels that way, why she feels very sad and threatened by Cheese Sandwich here, and sort of what she feels like that she's losing by Cheese Sandwich coming into town. And just to contrast that, the opening number, Pinkie Party Planner, gets us really, hyped up for the episode, but also gives us a very deep look into Pinkie and who she is, what she does for Ponyville, and kind of how she and Ponyville both relate and interact in terms of being their party planner. And everyone knows Pinkie, and everyone knows she's the party planner. And kind of an introduction to those two characters, both of the town and of Pinkie Pie as well. And of course, a lot of other things like the Weird Al's final reprise. When he's telling his backstory, that song there gets all of his backstory out of the way very quickly. Another thing that musicals are very good at doing is getting a lot of exposition dumps out of the way in a quick and enjoyable manner, rather than just characters talking. And of course, it just has the two polka songs. The first one introduces us to Cheese Sandwich's character and who he is, what he does, very effectively, and gets that out of the way and gets us very familiar with his character in a short amount of time. And then, of course, the whole goof off encapsulates the entire climax of the episode there in a very fun and entertaining way.
I think the other thing about the writing, there's so many callbacks in this episode, it could easily be mistaken for an M.A. Larson episode. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's obviously in Pinkie's Lament, there's a lot of mentioning of previous events in the show, and then obviously we have things like little nods like Weird Al singing the Smile song, and just lots of little things like that sort of all build up together, and it just feels like they just had such a ball making this episode, like everyone, not just like the writers or even Weird Al, sort of, because you can tell from his performance that he is having an absolute ball doing this. And but I think the animators also really sort of they really stepped up with this episode as well.
Yeah, and I really think, I still think this is one of the most, what's the word I'm looking for? Kind of not exciting, but
grandiose.
Not even grandiose, but really just one of the most fun episodes, and wacky, wild episodes of the show. It's just a really enjoyable episode to watch. Really, really fun. which of course you'd expect from a Pinkie Pie episode, but Weird Al brings so much to Cheese Sandwich's character in that same light, and all the things that Matt was talking about there, and all the things that happen in the song, like everything that happens in the Goof Off song is just so wacky and off the wall and crazy and funny.
I like to think that with the writing for the Goof Off song, it's written by Amy Keaton Rogers, and then Jason Teason comes in and goes, "Oh, and at this point, I'm going to have some live action rubber chicken."
and footage of a live action nature footage of a gator.
I still think that's some of the best live action inserts of in a show outside of SpongeBob. And by that I mean early SpongeBob.
Yeah, that was really well done.
I love how that was actually. I believe wasn't that filmed in Jason Teason's basement?
Yeah.
The rubber chicken bit anyway.
The rubber chicken bit was
yes. The rubber chicken and the sock puppet from next season's Discord episode were filmed there. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the gator footage was stock nature.
But what I like
nature footage.
They didn't take like they've not done it since. I think that's what's made it even more sort of kind of out there and special.
Well, in the Discord episode, but yeah, just those 2 episodes have been the only ones we've had.
Oh yeah. Well, and I suppose you could count the 100th episode with a very brief appearance of them with horse masks, but
yeah, I guess it was like one frame though.
Yeah,
literally.
Hey, but everyone saw it. Yeah, but everyone saw it still. If I was to pick nits in the episode, and I'm going to anyway, don't let make you think that I like dislike the episode in any way, shape, or form. I absolutely love it, but maybe the rest of the main 6 were a little like fast to really sort of take sort of everything from Cheese Sandwich sort of away from Pinkie. But my I mean, I've seen some people complain about that, but my view is if you had a party and Weird Al then turns up, I think everyone's going to make him the center of attention just because of because it's fucking Weird Al.
I think it was a mix of being caught in the hype of someone new, and at the same time they never really viewed them as replacing Pinkie, but kind of supplementing her party. And Pinkie, from her viewpoint, it looks like they're also excited about this new party planner that they want to replace her, even though that was never really their intention. It was just more for this one time. Pinkie Pie was going to be supplemented by this other great party planner. It was going to be so great. And they even kind of lampshade this at the end where Rainbow Dash is like, yeah, Cheese Sandwich is a great guest party planner, but you're our permanent one. Yeah, and a lot of it has to do also, I think, with kind of the mob mentality thing, where it wasn't just the main 6; it was the entire town was kind of getting swept up in Cheese Sandwich's production that he was putting on there, and that excitement of something new.
Again, the entire crowd swarms to Weird Al. Who can blame them?
But of course, none of them could really see kind of how that was affecting Pinkie there, and how it was viewed from her standpoint.
I don't think it's me eating my mic. I think it's my internet connection.
It wouldn't be surprising.
So it's your internet connection eating.
Yeah, I'm eating my internet connection.
Yeah, it's weird. It's like a tapping sound, like that, like someone's tapping them, like. anything else story-wise or writing-wise that anyone wants to mention?
Can I mention that the idea of whoever's idea it was to have weird cheese sandwich have a little bit of a Clint Eastwood edge, particularly into the mannerisms of his voice. I mean, that might well be down to voice direction or even down to Weird Al himself, but that was just a fucking stroke of genius.
Yeah, I mean the whole episode sort of had a. Well, I mean, it all kind of builds up to the goof off, which is sort of like an old west, showdown gunslinger. Even referencing like 310 to Yuma, and so they kind of gave him that western outlaw flavor right from the beginning of the episode. They're leading up to that kind of. It kind of mirrors the whole episode duel that Pinkie Pie and cheese sandwich get put into, being dueling party planners.
A lot of people sort of say, "Oh, the highlight is the goof off," and don't get me wrong, it is one of the highlights. But I honestly think Pinkie's Lament is the best part of the. Not only is it some of the one of the best songs in the show, I think it's sort of the very best we've seen of Pinkie Pie in the entire show.
Yeah,
it shows sort of some of her weaknesses, but I think it shows her strengths absolutely at her absolute best in this episode.
I think, it kind of depends on how you look at the episode. I mean, in terms of overall enjoyability and entertainment value, the goof off is just going to leave you on the floor laughing. But if you're looking for something more character building and more emotional kind of thing, then Pinkie's Lament has all the character development in the episode you need there. So speaking of that, let's go ahead. We can move on to well, I guess really quick. We do have relation, since we haven't really touched on this yet. With the relation to the season arc theme, this is. And all the things that this episode has going for it, and everything that is involved in this episode, from it being a musical to having Weird Al, is also a key episode, Pinkie Pie's key episode, and the third key episode of the season.
It couldn't be any more different to Rainbow Dashes, because that was the last key episode, wasn't it? Rainbow Falls?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
It couldn't be any more different in quality. It's all, to me at least, it's almost at the almost polar opposite ends in terms of quality. So yeah. I think, but on a more serious note, I still think this is arguably the best of the key episodes. I think most people would be in reasonable agreement to that.
Yeah, I think this and Rarity Takes Manhattan, I think are probably the best ones.
Rainbow Falls is still my favorite, but we won't go into that. As a key episode at least. But yeah, they managed to cram the whole key nature in here with, of course, Pinkie Pie teaching Cheese Sandwich a lot about her element and sort of how they got into this competition. I mean, I guess I should back up here, where it follows the key episode formula here, where Pinkie Pie eventually gets pushed by another quote-unquote antagonist here to kind of go against her element, and she gets so much like Rarity did in Rarity Takes Manhattan. She becomes so embroiled in this competition with Cheese Sandwich to become the best party planner that she loses sight of how it's affecting her friend and kind of what the whole point of what she's doing is. It's just like kind of Rarity lost sight of her generosity in Rarity Takes Manhattan. Here, Pinkie Pie is losing sight of laughter, of making other people laugh, of helping other people enjoy themselves, and eventually gets to the point where this whole goof off is becoming very detrimental to Rainbow Dash. Not to mention, even at the beginning, they're making her choose between the two parties, which is already being detrimental before she gets the cake dropped on her and everything like that. Which of course causes Pinkie Pie to realize that, and eventually she's able to teach that to Cheese Sandwich as well, and then of course get Boneless as her key from Cheese Sandwich. So it was nice how they were able to weave all of those plot points for a key episode into this episode, which would have been great on its own, and then having to weave those plot points in it as well. They pulled that off really well. Yeah, and of course it's hilarious that Pinkie Pie's key is a fucking rubber chicken. So yeah, now we can move on to the characters and characterization of the episode. What character do we want to discuss? Start discussing first here.
I say we can go ahead and just start with the center mare here, and just go up, cover Pinkie first.
Okay.
So, like I mentioned before, Pinkie seems to really take this particular party a lot seriously, more than any other party that she's covered before. So I understand that she really cares for her friends, significantly, but I kind of get the feeling that there are times where she seems to really focus on one particular character more than any other. And of all the characters that Pinkie seems to be closest to, I noticed that Pinkie seems to have the closest relationship with Rainbow Dash out of anyone else. And she just, I don't know, because I've seen that there were other episodes, what was it, Wonderbolt's Academy, where Pinkie just seems to be kind of almost obsessed.
Caressed in that.
Yeah.
That was
And
kind
it's
of
just-
creepy, actually, looking back on that.
It kind of was, really.
I think one of the reasons it was so important to Pinkie in this particular episode, though, is because since it was a birth-iversary, as it was put, so it was both Rainbow Dash's birthday and her anniversary of moving to Ponyville, so it was sort of a extra big party celebrating multiple things there.
He come to put it as important to her as a birthday party is. just getting the feeling just with how Pinkie acts and that she's just sort of so excited to meet new ponies. So when she gets to celebrate the sort of the anniversary of that, I think she's probably as equally excited as she is for a birthday.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Obviously,
Yeah,
having both on the same day with Rainbow, and obviously Rainbow and being such a close friend to Pinkie, yeah, you can totally understand and see why she was making such a big deal of it.
Which is another reason why she got to that point where she was just incredibly dour when she feels that cheese sandwich seems to just to top her at nearly everything she does.
and that's one thing story-wise I really liked, and I probably should have mentioned this in the story, but it just kind of came to me. Is I liked how they interwove kind of everything together in the end, with cheese sandwich sort of as a filly being inspired by a young filly Pinkie Pie
As a
in
cult.
Ponyville. Yeah, in Ponyville, lost my train of thought. Being inspired by her to become a party pony himself, regardless if he's better or worse than her now, she was pretty much his inspiration to it. And I just like how they kind of wove that back in as sort of the backstory at the end there. I know, I just misspoke.
How dare you say something wrong on the internet? Don't worry, I say things wrong all the time, so not just on the internet. Philly is also a toy line.
And not a TV show.
Damn, now I'm gonna have to look this up.
It will be eventually, Rain.
In
Eventually,
2027.
by like when Hell Freeze, when Hell Freeze is over. No, it'll be when Teen Titans Go stops. There you go.
Yeah, it was kind of a nice way to resolve that as well, and resolve Pinkie's emotion beyond just the main six apologizing and saying that, we're sorry, we obviously still want you here in Ponyville. It was just a very nice resolution to the episode.
But it really does show how much jealousy can get a hold of Pinkie, because we see it to a certain extent in Party of One, but not fully. It's sort of tangential. Oh, how have you pronounced that word?
Tangential.
I'm not good with big words. Yeah,
Stick
one.
with small ones.
It was good. I like it. No, but no, seriously. Yeah, I mean the jealousy that we see on display from Pinkie. It's there's nothing here that you think you'd think to yourself, nah, Pinkie wouldn't do that. Yeah, I think Pinkie would do it. And yeah, I mean, to be fair, Pinkie has probably thrown so many parties in Ponyville that it's sort of her default thing. I mean, it would be like taking away all the books in the library from Twilight. It's just not who they are.
And that's kind of where this episode also differentiates from the other key episodes here, is in that the other key episodes are showing the main six, being their Rarity and Rainbow Dash in the past couple episodes are both, the problem kind of arises because they're so good and other people are taking advantage of that. Here we have Pinkie Pie, struggling with who she is and what she does. I mean, she's the element of laughter, and here comes someone else into Ponyville that, in her eyes, is making the rest of Ponyville laugh more than she ever could, and she spends that whole Pinkie's Lament episode really lamenting over who she is and what that means to her, and it's a really kind of deep character moment for her there, being that her element really is being tested here, just in terms of what does she do? What does she do now? And it really shows to her, as a character, both here and it ties really well into past episodes here, that just how important friends and other people are to Pinkie, and how really depressed she can get when it does. I mean, this goes back again to Party of One, where it seemed like the main six, on a much smaller level here, the main six just didn't want to invite, didn't want to hang out with Pinkie anymore, as they were planning a surprise party for her. And of course, we all know how that got to, when Pinkie Pie thought that her friends didn't want her anymore, and she, got super, super depressed, and, and went, flat main mode. And we see that happening again here, where it seems like the town doesn't need her anymore, and her friends don't need her anymore, and she goes into that same depressive state. Here, she's able to use photos and continuity from the series to convince herself otherwise, and to give her that motivation to try harder and try again, and try and beat Cheese Sandwich. But we can really just see how much the acceptance and being able to make other people laugh and smile, how much that really means to her as a character here. Yeah, we'll get there, although I believe that's going to be after Season 7 starts. Yay! So
It could be during. It could end up being during the mid-season hiatus, maybe, possibly.
that's what I mean, but the season's going to
Then
begin.
again, you'll probably want it. Then again, you might by that point we may well be doing like lots of movie hype stuff. Maybe depends how much we know about the movie by then.
Well, that'll be on TWIP. Yeah, I definitely agree with Mr. Ben there. That's why I just love that conclusion so much of it. It just really brings the episode to a very satisfying conclusion, and as well as the conflict in the episode to a satisfying conclusion, because it's really touching that this pony that has been out party ponying Pinkie Pie and making her really depressed because it was actually inspired by her. And the whole reason his drive to become the best party planner pony in Equestria
Try saying that way you've had a few to drink.
was Pinkie Pie to begin with. So, which is very very moving for that.
Here's a question for you then: do you think that Cheese Sandwich is actually younger than Pinkie Pie?
I think they're close enough in age where it doesn't matter. I think he's slightly older. I think he's older. I think he's going to be slightly older than Pinkie Pie, but it's close enough that I don't think it really matters that much. You know, it's hard to tell. So
what you're saying is Fluttershy is definitely older than the pair of them, then?
Well, we know Fluttershy is older than a year.
Yeah. Well, we know she's older than Pinkie. That's for sure. That's the only
she's
thing
a year
in terms
older
of
than him,
ages that we have ever actually known about the show.
Yeah.
All the rest of it is just pure speculation.
Yeah.
See, age and experience is just the best, and that's why Fluttershy's best pony. Although most people seem to think Rarity is the eldest, but never mind.
So, anything else for characterization for Pinkie Pie that anyone wants to bring up? So
I like how she basically sort of butts in sort of during like some of Cheese Sandwich's songs, like obviously his intro sort of song, where she goes like just like me when he's sort of explaining how he loves parties and that, and I think the best thing is just her reaction to I know this is not quite her character, but I just love sort of the sort of like, hey, that's my song kind of deal. When he obviously sings the Smile, when Weird Al sings the Smile song. Oh, I say Weird Al, I mean Cheese Sandwich sings the Smile song. I think the only thing I can think of now whenever I see that scene is the Mine song from Lazy Town. I now want a Pinkie Pie version of the Mine song, doing it towards Cheese Sandwich.
So what does everyone think about Weird Al and his Cheese Sandwich and his characterization in
Cheese Al?
I mean, like I mentioned earlier, when we in our initial thoughts, I just loved how they both made him Weird Al. They didn't. It isn't like Adventure Time in that episode where he guest starred, where it was kind of just weird character he was voicing. It really had, you wouldn't even know it was necessarily him unless you like looked it up. But here you know it's Weird Al. You know that this is Weird Al, but there's a lot of accordion involved in it, a lot of polka in the music in the episode, and of course he gets that really wild, excited kind of tone in his voice once we actually get to the party aspects of the episode. And I just loved how they did that, but at the same time, even though he's sort of playing himself, they made him, his own character. We go into the backstory at the end and how he was inspired by Pinkie Pie. They tie his character directly into the show. It isn't just like some sort of weird shoehorn guest star character playing himself in. They shoehorn his character into the show in a lot of ways, both in terms of his inspiration from Pinkie Pie to him, causing this emotional trouble for Pinkie Pie in the episode, being another rival party planner. And tying it in also to getting a key from him. That's very important to this season, getting a key from this guest star for the season plot. So I just loved how they weaved Weird Al into this in terms of Cheese Sandwich.
I think the thing that massively helps is Weird Al's career has always sort of been on the sort of fantastical side, and obviously the way he performs in that is kind of cartoonish anyway. Mm-hmm. So I think he fits into sort of the cartoon sphere very, very easily. I mean, it helps that he is an incredibly smart guy though as well. I mean, you don't make parodies of the quality he does without actually having some kind of smarts, and he really does have that.
Yeah. And he has a really his voice is also really kind of comical or cartoony in a lot of ways. And you can hear that again in the range he has, like from the very serious, Western style at the beginning to when he gets into the party planner mode there, and he gets his voice is very energetic and cartoony for Cheese Sandwich there.
I think the thing that helps with sort of the quality that he has is that if you can make someone, instead of think of Michael Jackson's Bad, that every time you hear that song you think of Weird Al's Fat instead.
There's a lot of songs where that happens.
Whenever I hear that song, I only hear the lyrics of Fat instead of Bad.
It was fun both seeing how Cheese Sandwich and Pinkie Pie how serious they take their party planning, like to a almost comical level for it. Of course, when party planning is serious business, when she's talking to Rainbow Dash and gives this really stern face to her there, and of course just seeing it like at the very beginning when Cheese Sandwich is still kind of in that Western characterization mode, and just exemplifying the seriousness that he is taking throwing parties.
It's super serial.
And it's also kind of nice, going back to the key aspect of the episode and seeing how Weird Al and Pinkie Pie here both are able to sort of just lose sight of why they're doing this in the first place. And it kind of it's interesting. It makes you kind of think about maybe what are Cheese Sandwich's motivations in terms of being a party planner, because I think they might be different than Pinkie Pie's. Cheese Sandwich seems to be a lot more set on, as we can tell from the final song after he sees Pinkie Pie, and how excited she's making everyone. He seems more focused on maybe not just that, but also being the best and continually improving his parties. Where Pinkie Pie has always been shown as doing it because she likes seeing people smile. She gets enjoyment about making other people happy. And of course we see that in the climax of the episode as they're both losing sight of what the whole point of having a party is, as Rainbow Dash is very much not enjoying that moment. And then Pinkie Pie is of course the one to realize and see, when she has that kind of Rainbow Flash Eye moment, that Rainbow is not enjoying this party, and she's lost sight of that, and she immediately stops and forfeits and says, I can't do this anymore because I've completely broken the Pinkie Pie party planner promise for it.
Basically, they lost sight of it basically as soon as they started making it a competition.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which, while that might be something that Rainbow Dash kind of would relate to, I mean, obviously she likes being in lots of competitions, particularly with Applejack. But when it's for your own birthday party or birth anniversary in this case, yeah, too much is too much sometimes.
Let me see. I need to see if there's in the. And let's see. Oops.
I'm just wondering, what would happen if you put cheese sandwich in a toaster? Would you have a toasted cheese sandwich?
You'd probably have a bunch of melted cheese in your toaster, and probably a one ruined toaster.
You wouldn't be called cheese sandwich anymore. You'd just be called burnt cheese.
Yeah, I'm just kind of looking through the actual dialogue because I was trying to see if there's maybe a point to be made here because both Pinkie Pie and Cheese Sandwich at some point, at different points in the episode here, make a guarantee to Rainbow Dash about what their party is going to entail. Pinkie Pie goes on about how it's going to be the funnest, most fantabulous, superbital party in all Ponyville, and eventually when she gets to her certified Pinkie Party promise, that you will have the best party ever. Where Cheese Sandwich's promise is more just that he's guaranteed to throw you a super, the best party ever. Where I don't know, it's just kind of maybe loosely where Pinkie seems just a lot more focused on delivering that happiness to other people, while Cheese Sandwich is just more focused on delivering the best party, most fantabulous, over the top party, ever. Which seems to be kind of the difference between both of them. Maybe I'm reading too much into that, but I'm trying to see what differences they have in their motivations. Does anyone else have anything character discussion-wise that they want to discuss about Cheese Sandwich? So, any other? Go ahead.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
Well, we hear you.
Okay. Your internet's going in and out. I was just wondering whether, because just looking in the chat, are we pretty much done with Cheese Sandwich? Because I was going to move on to Rainbow Dash just very briefly.
Yeah, that's what I was asking, if anyone had anything else to say about Cheese Sandwich, and I don't think anyone did. So yeah, we can go on to Rainbow Dash. Yeah.
Because
I think it was.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I did like story-wise how eventually we learned that things came full circle and cheese sandwich getting his urge to become a party pony from looking at Pinkie, so that was a nice full circle thing there.
Tim wants to discuss Cheese Sandwich in terms of how malleable he becomes when he gets heated up, which sounds a lot like a food pun.
You'd never be able to cook Fluttershy because she'd just be too. She'd just hide. She'd just hide too much. You can't cook shyness. Whereas a baked apple, well, that gives you a quarter more of a heart replenishment.
Oh God, Let's not. Let's not bring Zelda into this. I already have to wait another couple hours to play Snake's Pass here, so don't. Let's not get my mind back on the Switch.
Oh yeah, that comes out today, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's supposed to be coming out at 7 p.m. Eastern.
It's not coming out here till tomorrow sometime.
Well, it should be coming out at the same time there because it's going to be very early your time.
Yeah, it's 1 a.m. or
Yeah.
something stupid like that.
That's why it's not coming out till 7 p.m. here. But Tim, did you have anything to discuss in terms of cheese sandwich with that, or any points you wanted to bring up for discussion?
I'm sure there'll be more discussion about cheese pie at some point. Maybe because it just sounds quite tasty.
I mean, it's kind of inevitable that you're going to be shipping them both to people. They're going to be shipping them together just because they're so similar in terms of their characters.
Everyone in this show,
but especially for them, since they're so similar. There's two common. I mean, of course, everything is always shipped with everything on the internet, but there's two very common ships, and that's things that are either very similar or things that are polar opposite, like Rainbow Dash or not Rainbow Dash. Like a good example would be Rarity and Applejack for polar opposites, and Rainbow Dash and Applejack for more parallel characters.
I think the closest shipping that there's ever been in the show is actually not been in the show. It's a fandom one. It's Rainbow Dash and the kitchen sink.
The closest shipping being featured in the show would probably Lyra and Bon Bon.
Yeah, although really and truthfully, you could say like that they do go all the way when you have the cakes and obviously shining armor.
Okay,
and
well,
Princess
that's
Cake.
I guess. I mean, technically, those would be legit ships because they're married.
Yeah, they go all the way because they actually have children.
Yeah. Well, we know maybe Lyra and Bon Bon did too. Who knows?
Well, they'd have to adopt.
I mean, for them, I mean, yeah. I'm not talking about children. Yeah, I'm sorry that they're just they're best friends, as it was put.
In massive air quotes.
Say, I'm looking for this one particular screenshot I have here.
Oh yeah, I was going to talk
but
about
it's from episode 100, yeah.
Can I mention that Rainbow didn't seem... I mean, she was a little egotistical. Really and truthfully, I didn't think she was that egotistical at all. I thought she just seemed more excited than anything.
She was like a kid. She was like a kid at their birthday party. She was very excited for it to be at their birthday anniversary.
And totally. And when you get someone new like Cheese Sandwich, who looks like he's capable of producing the best party a pony can have, it's understandable the way she was acting, really.
Well, even she was acting that before even Cheese. But she was acting like that before Cheese even showed up. I mean, she was very much time for my party.
Yeah.
It is interesting. I guess one thing I'll mention on that point, it is interesting how obviously the main six and Pinkie Pie would be very excited about Rainbow Dash's birth anniversary and be wanting to throw a party for it. But it's interesting how much the town was into it. Like all of Ponyville. Yeah, there's the ship pick.
That's the best pick ever.
Can't get much. Yeah, you can't be much more implicit than that. I'm sorry, they're best friends. They're just best friends. They're just really good friends. That's all.
Yeah, very, 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 very good friends.
With benefits.
All the benefits.
But yeah, I do find it interesting just how much the town is into celebrating Rainbow Dash's birth anniversary. In this episode, it gets, again, and the implications that come to that with how important Rainbow Dash is as a person to Ponyville as well. It's for obviously we know Pinkie Pie is very important to Ponyville. We've seen that in the Smile episode. We obviously know Twilight is very important to Ponyville, but it's interesting to see how the town would also put Rainbow Dash up there.
Actually, here's a question. We see most of the main characters in this, but was Fluttershy actually around in this episode? I'm trying to remember.
Yeah,
She was
she
around
was.
quite a few times.
I
Obviously.
don't think she had a speaking. I don't think she had a speaking line though, as far as I'm aware.
She did.
She did. Remember after Pinkie goes, I challenge you to a goof off, and Fluttershy's like, no, not a goof. He's like, hey, what's a goof off? And Fluttershy's like, I have no idea.
Something I missed in the writing that I just want to quickly touch on is when they obviously have they decide to have the goof off and they decide what the loser's going to end up doing. And I just love how the stakes are not really all that high when you consider that, but one person gets to do Rainbow Dash's party and the other doesn't.
Dun dun dun. But of course,
I love the gasp stuff as well.
But of course, when you view that through Pinkie Pie's eyes, those are pretty high
That's like the
stakes
end
from
of
her.
the world
For her.
for her.
'Cause she is the pony.
Well,
She views herself as the Ponyville party planner. So.
And we're remembering that it wasn't just Rainbow Dash's birthday. Remember, this was also her anniversary for coming to Ponyville, so this was also probably a big deal celebration for Pinkie, since she was celebrating a combined events here.
Well, it does prove that Pinkie was in Ponyville before Rainbow Dash was then, at least as far as I'm aware.
There is the one little thing about the birthday or the birth anniversary that is kind of a little confusing. Now, in there's a literature thing, the Journal of the Two Sisters, where Pinkie's journal entry for the particular episode says that this is Dash's 10th birth anniversary, so she's been living in Ponyville for at least 10 years, and now this is outside of the show. But inside the show itself, there are 21 visible candles on the side of the birthday cake that we've seen. But since the candles presumably also continue on to the other side of the cake, there could be potentially as many as 35. So it kind of like raises the question, okay, exactly how old is she? And is it possible that Pinkie just put on the number of candles with the sum of her age plus the number of years she's lived in Ponyville, or did Pinkie just be Pinkie and just go hog wild and just putting on as many candles as it?
I mean, I've
worrying about the number.
I've always been under the impression that the cake was just so big that they just put a lot of candles on it, and that there's not really any meaning to the number of candles on the cake.
No, we must discuss the meanings of absolutely everything in this show.
Let's have an in-depth discussion on the dance moves that the main six displayed during the final song, the final song there.
And now
we have to have a large discussion of what Gummy was thinking in the live action scene. Oh wait, they did that in a later episode.
And we have to have an in-depth discussion why Rarity suddenly has wings during the dance scene.
Oh god.
It was just, this unexpected M.A. Larson. That should be a new Reddit subreddit.
Thanks, M.A. Larson.
No, r/unexpected Larson. Just wings randomly on things.
Oh god.
Make it. But yeah, I really should be reading the. I keep forgetting to. I really should be looking over the book for each of these episodes every week, because there is some things that were put into there by surprise Amy Keating Rogers, who also wrote the book and this episode. So some interesting things. So it's definitely interesting also that the rainbow has been there supposedly for 10 years. So I think that I don't think she's that old. So it would probably mean that she moved to Ponyville as a young filly, much like a lot of the other main six has. Pinkie Pie obviously came to Ponyville as a young foal as well, and Rarity's kind of weird. I think Rarity's parents live in Ponyville, I believe so, but she kind of moved out as well. There definitely seems to be a thing where ponies definitely seem to leave home early, like very young, and go out on their own.
Well, if you were Pinkie Pie, if your choice was to have a conversation with Marble Pie or go on an adventure having parties for other ponies, I think I'd know which one I'd choose.
And yeah, that's not. Speaking of Pinkie's sisters, that's another thing we have to mention. This is the episode
Oh,
that
yes.
retcons the sisters that Pinkie has as well by putting Maud in the picture when she's doing her lament song.
But it could just been in previous things that Maud was just not around.
I know, but
It's not to say
technically
she doesn't ever exist.
technically for the show's canon, it's retconning.
Well, to be fair, the show did the show really ever outright say? I mean, I know in I'm trying to think of the blooming episode from season 1.
Yeah, the one where we see her family. Yeah. Well, I mean, she explicitly mentions her sisters, and the way she says it kind of makes it seem like those are all of her sisters. I mean, of course, you can beat around that and say Maud could have been out studying, or she's obviously the eldest sister. So, I mean, it makes it work in the show, but technically this episode is retconning it.
Like Shining Armor.
Yeah, I mean, like Shining Armor in Cadence. Yeah.
I think maybe
I absolutely adore Maud Pie. I'm sorry, I can't like not love her. She's great.
I think maybe people make a big deal about the retcon because if it was the exact party from that episode that we didn't see Maud at when the picture was being taken, maybe that's why people saying it's a retcon.
I mean, like I said, it's not a big deal. I just saying it's technically a retcon. I mean, it's not like, oh my fucking god, the show, what the fuck, continuity, what the fuck? I mean, it's nothing. It's not. I mean, I'm just saying it's.
Exactly.
It's a retcon.
Well, not only that, but wasn't Maud like before this episode even came out? But wasn't Maud even introduced or name dropped in a like a little novelization or something like that? Something by G.M. Barrow, I think.
I can't remember if that was before this episode. I'm not sure. Yeah, I can't remember if that came up before. I think you're right, because I think people went into this episode expecting it after reading the book.
Yeah, I'm pretty certain that the book came out before the episode, but again, it was kind of like where this is one of those situations where since the book wasn't actually part of the show canon, people were kind of like not really thinking about it, and then all of a sudden, this episode came up, and not a lot of people may have read the book or even heard of it before this particular episode. So that's probably another reason why people were kind of saying retcon.
I do remember some people expecting it. They're like, oh, there she is. There's the retcon sister. So I definitely believe you're correct there with the book came out before.
I still laugh though because I remember back when I was still part of the other site, there was one of the other moderators. He says, yes, the 4 Pie sisters, Inky, Blinky, Pinkie, and Retcon. And I just couldn't help but find that really funny. Even now, I still laugh about that. But yeah, I love Maud. She's just one of the best.
Can we all agree that in terms of continuity, it's not as fucked as Blaze the Cats was in Sonic 06 versus Sonic Rush?
Sure. I have no idea what you're talking about.
Sonic 06 versus Sonic Rush, you'll know that Blaze's backstory was not just completely retconned; it was changed almost entirely.
Okay,
yeah,
so for those of you who aren't really familiar with what Matt's talking about here, Blaze the Cat was originally said to come from an alternate universe from Sonic Rush, but Sonic 06 and it was a princess, yes. But Sonic 06 actually changed his backstory to where instead of coming from another future or another dimension altogether, he is now from the future. Yes.
Another dimension in the future.
And then at the end of 06, she sort of disappears, taking Iblis with her. And some people have said, well, perhaps she's shifted dimensions. And it's like, no, it's just completely too fucked up for it to make sense now. And then technically the end of 06 retcons itself, and then Sonic Generations came out. Thanks, Sega.
And then Sonic Colors on the DS comes, and which has the Sonic Rush Blaze. So I don't think Silver recognized as Blaze in that game.
Yeah, but none of the extra characters appears in the console game, and I consider the console game canon, not the DS one. Not that the DS game's bad; it's quite good actually. But
So
set fire to rainbows. Oh my god.
So I guess pretty much all the other main six have pretty small parts. This is another episode where we do have all of the main six there. It doesn't, they do have all of them, but it doesn't really try to force them into the story. They're there because they have to be, because it's Rainbow Dash's party. So yeah, I mean, story-wise, it would be weird if they weren't there, but it doesn't really trying to give too much focus to that. When we were talking about, does Fluttershy have any lines? It seemed like all of them maybe have like one line. I think each of them get like one line throughout the episode, with the exception of Rainbow Dash and Twilight, I believe, has a few more lines as well. So it doesn't like waste focus on them or try and give all of them equal parts or anything. So it isn't like some of the episodes where they seem to be trying to get Twilight in or trying to get the rest of the main six in and make sure they each have an equal number of parts in the episode. And it can seem like for some episodes that they're juggling to the detriment of the episode story. But here they're there because they have to be, but they don't. They let them fall as background characters for the show, or for this particular episode, which is nice. So they keep that laser focus on Pinkie and what she's going through as a character.
Applejack was in a natural habitat then.
I don't know. I mean, it's better than being Fluttershy when you're shafted all the way in the back and no one notices.
I'm sorry.
Remember,
I'm not really
you completely forgot Fluttershy even had a line in this episode. That's how much of a background pony she is. Ooh. Best pony fight.
But to be fair, the best pony in this episode was obviously Twist, even though Twist wasn't in the episode.
What are you talking about? That's every episode. If Twist doesn't have an episode in season 7 dedicated to her, it'll be worst season ever. Worst season, and it better be the musical episode too. We're singing all the songs.
Only musical episode.
Yes. See, the songs are so glorious. That's why there's only going to be 5 songs in season 7, because there's just Twist needed them.
And all of those songs would just be basically praising and saying how awesome Twist is. She's like 20 Rainbow Dashes of awesome.
Oh gosh. Any other characters or character discussion for any of the characters we have talked about, or anyone we missed?
I think we need to talk about Twist.
Fucking Twist.
Wasn't Cheerleader at the party that cheese sandwich froze? Or am I remembering?
It might have been. I mean, there's a lot of characters, secondary characters there. They pretty much showed most of the Ponyville background ponies.
Santa Derpy was there. She actually stuck her head directly in the chocolate fountain when she thought no one was looking.
Yeah, this is one of the episodes that really features her prominently after kind of her being brought back in Rainbow Falls. Yeah, no one wants to do the twist. No one.
What about playing Twister?
Twist her?
Twister, the
I know what you're talking
about. The one that you can only really play when you're very, very drunk.
That is a Hasbro game. They should brand that with Twist.
Lots of body contact.
It's a Hasbro game. They should brand it with Twist.
Oh God. But isn't her full name Peppermint Twist?
I have no idea.
Toy name.
Sorry, Matt. I'm not that engrossed. I'm not engrossed in. I'm not as engrossed in the Twist lore as you are. I'm sorry.
I'm sure that is her name, Peppermint. It's like Trixie's full name is Trixie Lulamoon.
Hey, everyone,
find absolutely ludicrous name.
Everyone, you need to go right now. Pause the episode if you're watching it, or go after the episode. You need to go right now and tweet GM Burrow that she needs to write a twist book next. Everyone, tweet GM Burrow to write a twist book.
No,
we need that sweet
write
twist
a
lore.
Spike book first. She bloody needs to write a Spike
Okay,
book.
okay.
First.
We'll compromise. There will be a Spike and Twist shipping book.
She's called both. She is called Peppermint Twist in some merchandise, and she's also cut in some merchandise. She's also called Twistaloo.
Now that sounds like a Scootaloo Twist shipping name.
So, yeah, I was just gonna say, perhaps is she related to Scootaloo? Are they both chickens?
Peppermint chicken.
That sounds horrible.
It does. Oh my god. Okay, we should move on. If we're done.
Candied. We should be selling candied chicken.
Oh gosh, yeah, we got a lot to get through.
Can't be any worse than the chicken in a can.
Oh god, I remember the Ashen video for that. Oh.
Okay, so next we'll go to the voice acting, and if there's anything with the voice acting that stuck out particularly for anyone.
Weird Al.
Yeah, he sucked.
There you go. He was terrible.
Wait, who's Weird Al? Who did he voice? What?
I think he voiced Twist.
He voiced Twist.
No, do you know what would have been better? He should have voiced Bomba and been one of the millions of voices for
Yes.
Bomba.
They should have made this whole spectacle about Weird Al is going to be a guest voice in this episode and run all those promos, and then when the episode shows, he just says one line is Bon Bon and that's it. Brilliant.
Now, that would have been something like Teen Titans Go would fucking do.
Oh god. Anyway, but yeah, in all seriousness, Weird Al was great in this. I mean, he nailed both that kind of Western parody, very serious vibe, and also that very wacky vibe. And of course, he's kind of playing himself in a lot of ways. But he really nailed all the points as Cheese Sandwich, both in the emotional side and the fun, wacky side that he had. And really, no one else could have played that character. I mean, it was made for him, obviously, but no one else could have played that character. And of course, he obviously, we all know he's a great singer. So, yeah, I mean, no surprises there. Yeah, and Andrea did fantastic in this, as well as oh god, Shannon Chan. Yeah, I'm like, I know Shannon, and then I know her name is like two parts, and I forget the first one.
I know the middle part of her name. Just think of 4chan. Shannon Chan.
God, no thanks. But she.
Hey, it's an easy way to remember it though.
Yeah, but she did obviously great as singing for Pinkie and the Party Planner song, and Pinkie's Lament as well. She's able to do Pinkie's voice, put a lot of vocal strength behind it. And it's just a very strong voice for Pinkie's singing in those. But one interesting factor that I believe is true, because I remember this in my head. I haven't double checked today, but I'm pretty sure that Andrea Libman actually sings for Pinkie in the Goof Off. As well as the Reprise.
Yeah, I mean, Andrea does sometimes sing for Pinkie and sometimes doesn't, so it's kind of what's I think the thing that you can really like massively credit both Shannon and Andrea is that it's actually quite difficult to tell which is which one Pinkie at any one time, which I think is a massive credit to sort of both voice actresses really.
And this is something that I haven't really confirmed, and I don't know if it's actually true, but it seems like to me that's something that's true. If you go back and you listen to some of the songs on the official releases from the CDs, particularly the songs from the season 3 finale, you'll notice that some of the dialogue parts in it are different than what's in the final episode. Whenever the characters are talking in the middle of the songs. And I believe that's because any dialogue in the CD releases is actually the temp dialogue that's recorded by the singer for the characters, rather than the dialogue that's gone back and recorded when the voice actors actually go and do their recording. Because the songs are recorded a lot earlier than the rest of the episode's voice acting is. And so it wouldn't make sense for them to bring in the actual voice actors if they don't sing for their characters. So you'll notice it with Rarity's voice, you'll notice it with Twilight's voice, and those songs from Magical Mystery. Well, it's not even that. No, it's just that when they're singing these songs and recording these songs for the episode earlier in the process than the dialogue is recorded for the episodes. So when they bring in if they bring in so if they bring in Shannon to sing or Kazumi to sing for Rarity, or the singer for Twilight to sing, it isn't, they're going to read their dialogue parts, but they're not just going to bring Tara in just to read the dialogue parts for that song. They're going to bring her in when they're going to Rebecca. But they're going to bring Tara in to record for Twilight, or Tabitha to record for Rarity during that song when they're actually recording their voice acting. So when we actually get the CD releases of these songs, we're hearing the original masters before the actual voice actors for some of the characters have been dubbed over for the episode itself. So if you go back and listen to, I noticed especially in, like I said, Magical Mystery Cure, in those episodes, especially in the what was the song where they're getting their cutie mark back? A True Friend, because there's a lot of dialogue parts in that. Listen to Rarity's part in that song, listen to Twilight's parts in that song, and you can hear some differences in the voices, but of course it's obviously at least a different take of than what was in the final episode. So just a little interesting voice acting tidbit that I've noticed, and it's very prevalent in the musical episodes. So if you ever want to hear, I guess the point I was getting at before I went on that long ramble was if you ever want to hear some of the singers that sing for some of the ponies that have different voice actors, so not obviously not Andrea for Fluttershy or Ashley Ball for Applejack or Rainbow Dash, but if you want to hear like what Shannon sounds like for Pinkie when she's talking, or for any Rarity character or anything, that go back and listen to the songs, and you'll hear them actually doing a voice, and you can kind of hear some subtle differences. But they're very close. That was my point, is that they're very close to the actual voice actors. They do a great job of mimicking them.
Something I do want to mention about the vocal performances. With Weird Al, he's with Cheese Sandwich. Obviously, Cheese Sandwich is very much like a pony Epsy of himself. Now, it could have been very easy for him to overdo it when he was actually voicing it, but he still sounds incredibly natural throughout the episode, which I think is, I don't know whether that was down to, good voice direction, or whether it was just Weird Al just putting in such a fantastic performance. It's probably a bit of both. But yeah, I mean, it doesn't sound forced. It doesn't sound like himself onto the character. You legitimately believe that this is how Cheese Sandwich is, not necessarily that Cheese Sandwich is just a Weird Al insert, even though he kind of is.
And on that respect, we get to hear a lot more of an emotional range from him. If we go back to some of the other shows that he's appeared in, using that mindset, I was more thinking along the lines of Wander and Gravity Falls, where he's pretty much really over the top. And I mean, the characters are supposed to be over the top, but in terms of voicing, he's really over the top all the time in those, and he's really in that really crazy mode for the entirety of his appearance in both those episodes. But here he's a lot more. Being that he's a villain in both of those episodes, and he's supposed to be an over-the-top villain, here they really make him into an actual character. And yeah, he's the antagonist, sort of, for a good portion of the episode, but he has a lot more of an emotional range here, and Weird Al's able to deliver that emotional range from the very serious to the very, very wacky and goofy to the more emotional, mellow moments, especially near the conclusion when he's singing that song about his history to Pinkie and how he inspired him. So it does a lot better, and that's another reason why I think this is his best appearance in voice acting, is because it really shows that range. It isn't just Weird Al being wacky the entire time. It's it shows that a lot of range from him that you don't get in some of those other shows where you guest starred.
All right, I'm back. I had to step out for a minute.
Welcome back.
So where are we in the discussion mission right now?
We've just been rambling on a few things about voice acting still.
Okay, not a problem. I just wanted to make sure I didn't miss anything.
Yep, we were all agreeing the best voice acting in the episode was from Peppermint Twist. Actually, I think the best voice acting was from Gummy.
God. No, we're not up to... We've already done episode 100. So,
Damn it. Can we do it again?
Rewatch that once a day.
I would if I had the time.
But yeah, I mean, for Pinkie, I really like Shannon's singing, especially in Pinkie's Lament there, really putting a lot of vocal force behind that, and especially when we get to the part where she's slowly starting to turn around her view and become more positive and force herself to smile and become happy again as she's looking at the pictures. That part is a very strong moment in the song, and it's really driven especially by the strong vocals there, especially when she bursts through the doors and looks outside and the camera pans up and hits those high notes there. It's very, very well done. Anything else for voice acting from anyone? Okay, we're all in agreement then. Twist best voice actors. Good.
Yep.
Humor. So obviously, much like Discord episode like we had last week, a lot of humor in this episode. A lot of it
Twist
revolving.
was particularly hilarious.
Oh, fuck off. But yeah,
Twist was the best singer in the episode too.
Yeah, well, we already knew that. But especially, obviously a lot of the humor is centered around the goof-off song sequence, especially for it. So, what does everyone think about humor?
This is pretty much the funniest episode in season 4, bar none. Possibly one of the funniest episodes in the entire series up to this point.
I think the only one that rivals it for me is Make New Friends But Keep Discord, to be honest, in terms of humour. But yeah, I mean, this is definitely the funniest episode of season 4 to me.
Yeah.
Let's say, I mean, we've had just the entire idea of Weird Al Yankovic basically just being an in-universe R63 Pinkie Pie.
Yeah.
Let's say we got a couple things that we've already covered earlier, like Fluttershy being like, "Oh no, we're not a goof off," and Applejack like, "What's a goof off?" I'm like, I have no idea. Of course, now I'm just mentally thinking back to the Team Fortress 2 and just kind of want to just doctor in and like Applejack be like, "What's a goof off?" and then like suddenly cutting over to the doctor going, "I have no idea." I almost actually kind of want to do that now. But yeah, we've got Pinkie's attempts at doing other jobs where she insists on approaching them exactly like she's still throwing other parties after swearing never to throw another party again, like doing that construction job with holding up the support with nothing but balloons. There was
She's a
that
partyholic.
Yeah. Oh man, there was this one thing here. Where was it? I saw. She was basically trying to do a surgeon, and she fails at it. And this is also even again a sort of a meta reference because one of Weird Al's better known songs is a parody called "Like a Surgeon," where the singer's just barely competent. There was, Cheese's cheese sandwiches, man with no name persona, where he's talking about throwing parties in a deadly serious Clint Eastwood impression.
The whole 310 to Yuma parody.
Yeah.
But around the goof off there.
Let's say there was that at one point towards the end of the lament, Pinkie actually makes an actual cheese sandwich solely to punch it.
And And can we just this is kind of tying into humor and animation here and production, but can we just say how great Cheese Sandwich's cutie mark is? How well designed that is, and how humorous it is in its own right.
Yeah.
Being a grilled cheese sandwich splitting apart in like an accordion, like the design it's so perfect. I have to give them so much credit for that.
I say, that's another meta reference right there on that. As the goof off begins and Pinkie and Cheese begins, Twilight actually begins reading from the official rulebook, and Rainbow Dash is like, she actually has one of those, and Spike's like, are you kidding? Twilight has a rulebook for everything.
Yeah, I think my favorite part of that song and one of the favorite of the episode is definitely when Cheese Sandwich starts singing the Smile song. It's so fourth wall breaking, and of course Pinkie's like, that's my song.
What do you mean? I have no idea what you're talking about. And
Again,
another meta thing. Another meta thing is that Cheese is voiced by a man known for song parodies, so...
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And Pinkie
actually,
has a party cannon, but...
Go ahead.
But, yeah, even though Pinkie has a party cannon, Cheese actually has a party tank, so...
I was going to say...
Before, I know what would have made Weird Al's appearance in Teen Titans Go so much better if he'd have parodied the Waffles song.
Oh, God. No, not even Weird Al could save that song. And as another one of my favorite parts about that around that same part is when he parodies the Smile song. When he's parodying that, he comes up with 2 cows that are wearing Rainbow Dash masks on, and then one just kind of falls off, and the cow just stares at it. It's such a weird moment. I love it.
And she just stares at it with a look on her face like, how did I ever get roped into this?
She probably literally did.
And not to mention all the other over-the-top, completely ridiculous props that both of them bust out for the goof off and the party subsequently. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, we also covered the real-life rubber chicken dance and the real-life gummy parts as well. That was just so freaking unexpected. That was probably one of my favorite parts of the entire episode, was just suddenly swapping over to that live action stuff just completely out of nowhere.
I think that caught everyone off guard. That was just so hilariously unexpected.
I actually think it was better use than what a lot of SpongeBob episodes do. I really do.
Yeah. One thing I forgot to mention, I'll mention here since it ties into humor, is I meant to mention this back in voice acting, but Andrea Libman singing that one part of the goof off in Spanish very, very well. Sing it very well in Spanish as well.
Let's say not only that, but the Spanish one actually has a direct translation. It's like hit it, don't miss your shot, because if you miss it, you will lose your way. And that actually kind of plays into Pinkie's epiphany there, where she's like realizing that, hey, she's lost sight of the whole competition.
Yeah, good point.
Also, I have an edit of that particular scene here. I'm just going to throw that in the chat room here. To be fair, I almost kind of wish that particular part actually happened. It drops in kaboom, and Rainbow Dash never had another birth anniversary again.
I that's one of the things about the goof off song is it's one of the most like humorous onslaughts of the entire series, because there's just, as the song goes on and on, there's just more and more, and it's coming at you so quickly, just like the Discord song last week. And it gets to the point, you're laughing at the gummy, you're laughing at the boneless, live action boneless thing. They do it with Gummy, and then now Pinkie's singing, Spanish, and it keeps building and building and building. You don't get a moment to breathe, and you don't get to really. You have to watch it a couple times to really absorb everything, because the humor is just coming at such a nonstop pace. And I love that about the Goof Off song. It's just so entertaining and fun. I mean, you almost miss some of the joke. You almost miss like him singing the Smile song, because you're still laughing about something that just happened before that. Yeah, Pinkie Pie watering the drain. Just normal Pinkie Pie.
Yeah, just pour this seemingly normal water that's no way he contaminated or tainted down into the public drains.
No, Matt, you're gonna miss all the music.
Take care, Matt.
Good night, Matt.
That's alright, I'm sure you'll still be going by the time I wake up, so. Anyway, see you later, folks.
Bye. Anything else for humor?
I don't have anything else.
There's a lot. I mean, there's obviously a lot we're missing, but we could be here all day if we go through every single joke of the in the episode. But a lot of great humor. I mean, and this kind of ties directly into the next section here with animation. At this time, I think this is one of the best produced episodes, and really, and episodes that had like the most work put into it from all departments. Not just a good story, but they knocked the animation up a notch here for this. The storyboarding of this, all the storyboarding for the songs, is just fantastic. Of course, the lyrics and a lot of the writing is really fun and funny, but a lot of that humor comes from the storyboards, especially in the songs, and especially like during everything that happens in the Goof Off. Just putting a lot of effort into all of the huge number of songs and making the visuals be very entertaining. You get more traditional visuals with a lot of visual gags in them, like in the Goof Off, and then you get more artsy kind of, I guess you could call it, things like the Cheese Confesses song at the end, where Cheese is giving his backstory, and there's a lot of visual things of him riding on abstract arrows and stuff like that, and it's very good design in that song as well. Everything was very visually pleasing and engaging in the episode. And I know they mentioned that this was probably the most work they had ever put into an episode up to this point, both from a music standpoint, from a story standpoint, and from an animation, storyboarding, visual standpoint as well. And it really shows in the final product. And I think they've topped themselves numerous times since this episode, both in the next two musical episodes in Crusaders of the Lost Mark, and definitely in A Heartwarming Tale, which is probably still my favorite episode of the show up to this point. Just because it embodies so much of what makes the show great. You can see just how much effort was put into it. But this was, at this point in the show, this was really some of the most effort. I mean, yeah, Magical Mystery Crew is a great episode, and it had a lot of great songs in it. But I don't know, the production of this one just seems so much more intense than that one was visually. There's a lot of great visual moments as well, like when Pinkie first challenges him to a goof off, and she makes that really crazy, outrageous face, and then right after that they get really face to face as they're scowling at each other as they're laying out the terms, and they have that great background, kind of Ray background behind it, and the really great shadows and lighting on both of them. I really like that scene. We also see we get to see the buffalo again. They make a first appearance since season 2 as well in the opening to this episode there, with Cheese Sandwich just leaving, putting them on a wild party. Yep, exactly. Just like we were mentioning, Dark Knight 2, just, having him being used in a way that fulfills his potential and makes it have a reason for him to be on the show. It isn't just like throwing him into some random character role, building a character around him and specifically for him, but then also tying that into the show's source material and making it all feel very, very natural and be a big part of the season arc as well. Again, just going back and just the amount of effort that went into making this episode great. It wasn't just like, oh, let's have Weird Al on the show and, just have him voice a character, yay. No, I mean, they really went all out for an episode to feature him, which is more than I can say for some other guest stars appearances that he's been in. It's really, in this episode, it's one of those things where, thankfully, it's a kind of episode where it doesn't really feel, you can't easily go overboard with the visual humor anyway. It's set up in a way that it makes sense that, these are going to be happening. It's a Pinkie Pie episode, and it's a Pinkie Pie episode where she's going up against someone who's pretty much also Pinkie Pie, and they're having a competition. So you expect it to have that visual, just like a Discord episode. You expect to have those visual gags, and you expect to have all that humor and visual humor in it. But you just really have to appreciate the effort put into everything here, and it really shows. It isn't just one song sequence or anything that shows it. It's just the whole shebang. Anything else for humor or visuals that anyone wants to mention before we move on?
I can't think of anything.
Oh, that we mentioned during the song that the shading and the sunlight pan with Pinkie's on the balcony.
Oh, how did I miss that? That's a good point.
I'm sorry?
Yeah, Jay was mentioning the part of Pinkie's lament song where she's looking through all the pictures and she's getting her motivation back, and it gets to the point where she bursts through the doors, and then it cuts behind her and the camera pans up as she tilts her head up. It's a really great scene. I used that in our season 5 opening sequence for Pinkie Pie because it's just such a freaking great shot for
oh
Pinkie
yeah,
Pie.
that's right. I can't believe I forgot about that one too.
Great posing, great cinematography, great animation, and great lighting and shading in that entire part there. It's one of my favorite parts. I don't know how I'm glad you mentioned it, Jay, because I don't know how I forgot about that.
The visuals also proved how they eat pizza in Equestria. They use tomatoes and plates.
Yeah, we didn't get lost on the razzle dazzle until next season. Well, okay, so now we're going to move on, and being that this is a musical episode, much like our Tripoli of the past couple of ones, it's going to be a little bit to go through here, so let's get to it. So let's go on, and we'll of course start with the songs and the musical numbers here, because there's quite a few in this episode. The episode starts out like all the musical episodes do, right away with a song right at the start, right off the bat. And this is the Pinkie the Party Planner, and this is our intro song to Pinkie Pie and her character and her relationship with the town, and what her parties mean to her and what her parties mean to the town. This is all set up so it can later be then, kind of shot down by Cheese Sandwich showing up and trying to one-up her. So we get a lot of great interaction with the town and Pinkie Pie here, like we did pretty much almost a continuation of the Smile song here, you could say, except instead of being directly based on how Pinkie Pie makes the town smile, it's just how Pinkie Pie relates in terms of being a party planner, the town's party planner, resident party planner, you could say. Really, really fun song. It has, of course, that great chorus in it, since it has all the town singing with it. So we'll go ahead and we'll listen to the instrumental here. It's very, very much a classic Pinkie Pie musical number. Very, very Broadway as well. Oops. Help if I... 1 second. Let's make it so everyone can hear the beautiful music. There we go. Should be good now. So here's that. Very bouncy song too for Pinkie. I love the mallets there. I don't know how I forgot to mention that. This is, of course, also the first we hear Diamond Tiara singing until next season's musical episode. Chantel Strand providing the vocals there for her. Really love the bouncy nature of the song here. Yeah, and I really like Pinkie Pie's thanks, I guess, after Diamond Tiara's lines there. Especially at the end here. That big grand finish. Especially at the end here, it does have a little bit of a Western feel as well. I'm mixing in kind of what we had at the intro to the episode with Cheese Sandwich being that Western kind of feel, and leading into the rest of the episode as it becomes sort of a duel between the two of them. It has that same kind of you can hear it in the horns part in the song, especially in that last chorus there, and it has really kind of that Western rodeo kind of feel to it. From there, we go to the next song here. So the next one is where we get to Weird Al's or Cheese Sandwich's introduction here with the Super Duper Pony Pony, and this song is introducing us to his character and kind of who he is and what he's here to do. And this is just another character introduction song here, and this is also our first polka song. Both this one and especially the Goof Off are heavily inspired by Weird Al's polkas, and that's another thing I just loved about this episode in terms of getting his character into the show and making a character very much based on him, but still fit into the show really well. Of course, they're going to give him some polka to sing, and it's just it would be it's just a waste if you don't get him to sing a polka song in in the episode. So I really like the instrumentation here, and I'll talk more about this when we get to the goof off. But they really did a great job of emulating his style here, both Daniel Ingram and Stefan Andrews here. Oops, the wrong song. There we go. And of course, you got the accordion there. Got that kind of old-timey player piano as well, again emulating that Western theme that we have. And I love all the different sound effects and stuff that are put in this one and the goof off. And you get that really bouncy tuba as well. That's very much a Western player piano there. Getting these sound effects out of the quack there just adds to the humorous effect of the song. And on some woodwinds and that player piano for Pinkie's emotional finish to the song. And that brings us to the emotional song of the episode, probably my favorite song of the episode, Pinkie's Lament. Just a beautiful, beautiful emotional song, and some beautiful instrumentation in it. And definitely when we get to that part where she's starting to pick up again, because it starts at, of course, very mellow, and then when she starts picking up again, as she's looking at the pictures right up to where she bursts outside, and we get the reprise of Pinkie the Party Planner. It's really, really beautiful instrumentation in the background here, mixed in with Shannon's just great, fantastic vocals there. And of course, this song starts out as its own lament, its own song here. But then it turns into, at the end, when she gets her moxie back, it turns back into a reprise of Pinkie the Party Planner in that not second half, but the final bit of it. Again, starting a lot more soft and emotional with the oboe and the strings there. A nice little guitar part here as well on the left channel. With a little bit more of a prominent flute there. With the counter melodies from the oboe. I love this part. That little the oboe part there with the counter melodies, beautiful. Counter melodies are some of my favorite things in music. And now we're going to build the emotion a little more. Add the horns and a little more strings. And here's when she starts viewing the pictures, and we're going to start that build up here, starting with that little crescendo on a cymbal. More brass there, and then here we get to that really good part here. We're going to add more brass here as well. There's that big moment there. And now here comes Pinkie the Party Planner with that renewed vigor. Has a lot more oomph to it than the original one. And that big finish there. It's such a great song, and I just love that turnaround near the end there as we get into the reprise of Pinkie the Party Planner. Yeah, I mean, of course, Party of One, because going on to what Tim's saying in chat there, Party of One was kind of like almost crazy, so depressed she's crazy, Pinkie, but this one's a lot more true depression and emotion here. From that, we get to the wackiest song of the episode, The Goof Off, and this one is such a great song from a composition standpoint, and probably the hardest song that they had to compose for this. It's a melody you could say of different polka numbers, but it's not just kind of one straight song like the Super Duper Party Pony was also a polka, but it was kind of a straight polka. This one is going back and forth between two characters, each are kind of getting their own musical style, and it's also working on a lot of different polkas. It's almost like a traditional Weird Al polka melody when he's blending a bunch of different songs together in a polka format. It follows that very closely, and so you'll hear a lot of different songs, a lot of traditional polka songs in here, and of course you'll hear the Smile song also sung by Weird Al in a polka variety. And it's a very complicated song, probably up there, only rivaled by Welcome to the Show from the Rainbow Rocks finale, which also blended a couple of different songs and musical stylings, as well as a big instrumental battle in the middle of that. I know they said they had a hard time working all that together musically. But you have to give a lot of props to Daniel Ingram and Stephen Andrews here for working all of these things together into a very concise and cohesive polka song here, along with all the fun sound effects that are littered throughout, a lot more than Super Duper Party Pony had. There's the quack and all the horns and stuff. One thing you'll notice for I'll pause here because I'll rewind. One thing you'll notice here, because I was talking about the blending the musical stylings of the two characters together. When Pinkie Pie is singing here, you'll hear that electric sort of I don't even know how to describe it. Almost like electric ukulele or something in the back. Really staccato notes. Which is a traditional Pinkie Pie musical instrument. That's the kind of the musical style you'd hear for Pinkie Pie. And then when Weird Al starts singing, or Cheese Sandwich starts singing, you'll hear more of the accordion for him there. So here's Weird Al's part, and there's a lot of accordion. As well as some clarinet, which is also a very, very common in polka. And there's that kind of electrical sound there for Pinkie again. That sound and like ukulele are the two main instruments for Pinkie Pie. Now here we get into some different. So again, you can hear the melody changing here to different songs, different traditional polka numbers here. At the same time, changing that instrumentation as we're going between the two characters. And here comes the Smile song. Again, just working that song so flawlessly in a polka version of it, too. That quack. Now we're going to get some more Mexican flavor here. just a freaking fun song to listen to, especially the instrumental. I mean, the vocals are crazy enough, but just listening to the instrumental of that, and it's just insane how much work had to go into that. From there, we get to Cheese Confesses. So this is a reprise of the Super Duper Party Pony song from earlier, but in a much more emotional way, as he explains his backstory to Pinkie Pie. Again, we got that clarinet there. This time without the accordion. And some really nice piano parts. This is a lot softer piano. It's not that harsh player piano from earlier. But now we get that bouncy nature of Super Duper Party Pony back here. We mix in a lot of orchestral flourishes here. We have more accordion here as he becomes who he was meant to be. And then the emotional ending. They have their little dialogue number there, and we get into the reprise of Pinkie Party Planner. There's a lot of different reprises here. We already had one reprise of Pinkie Party Planner in the middle of Pinkie's Lament. Cheese Confesses has a somber, more emotional reprise of Super Duper Party Pony, and now this one here is going to reprise Pinkie the Party Planner as well as Super Duper Party Pony in this 23-second little thing here. Very quick for the resolution. And finally, we get to the final song of the episode, what kind of a little bit of a different style here, with this being more of a poppy electronic nature song to it versus
something like you'd hear in the Equestria Girls movies.
In some ways, yeah. But one thing is they really do tie it down, and this is something they do with in this series a lot, is they still, even when they get a little more poppy with their songs, they really tie it down to the instrumentation of the series, where Equestria Girls goes full-on pop or electronica with it. Here you'll hear the again, that Pinkie Pie instrumentation throughout on the ukulele through here. So even though it's more poppy, you still get that ukulele in it, which ties it back to the series. And that's something they do often in this show, when they maybe get out of the range of Broadway or whatever other musical stylings are normal for the show and go more into pop. They bring it back and hold it together with like a ukulele or some other instrument for the characters or for the show. So I'm going to play the instrumental of the extended version. That was not the version from the episode, which gets truncated by dialogue in the middle of it. It's a really fun upbeat number to it. So here it is. This will have some backing vocals in it, but I want to do the extended one because the other one's so short. So you can hear that and it's not just in the background here, it's one of the most prominent instruments other than the drums in the song is that ukulele there. Which again ties back to the Smile song, which was the big ukulele-driven Pinkie Pie song. And also written by Amy Keating Rogers. You all have to also keep in mind that to even get this version of it, we had to do some inverse subtraction of the stereo version of the album version of the song. So yeah, it's not going to be quite as high fidelity as some of the other things, but it was the only way to get like an instrumental version, semi-instrumental version of the full numbers. So, and you can't get the backing vocals out of there since they're panned kind of into both stereo channels as well, rather just in the center channel like the main vocals. But here I can play a little bit of the shortened instrumental version of the song that was actually in the show, so you can hear the ukulele a little bit better. Of course, it's actually going to have a lot of crowd noise in the background as well. You have a little bit of electronic and noise in the background, and then that very prominent ukulele in the front. Okay, that's where this particular version ends here. It's cut off by Rainbow Dash and Cheese's dialogue for it. And so that is all of the songs in the episode. So there's a lot of just great, very catchy songs. Of course, you've got to love the polka song, songs in it as well for Weird Al. I mean, and they did such a great job on those songs as well. You would be, easily forgiven if you thought that Weird Al had anything to do with really writing those songs. Because they encapsulated, Weird Al's polka music so well in those, especially in the Goof Off, where, encapsulating his polka mashups of different song parodies, even, going so far as to parody one of their own songs and Smile song in it. So, Denny Youngrum just did a great job. Stephen Andrews with the production, and all the rest of the production team just did a great job for that. No, CQ Discord is just I'm typing. It's easier since I have Discord up anyway. I'm just typing messages into Discord, and our bot is relaying it to the main chat. So that's when it says rain share, that's me talking. So nothing had to do with. I'm not sure what you mean by the C and D, but nothing has to do with the C and D with that.
Maybe they were just referring to how that edit that particular edge where he had the backing vocals sound a little bit different than the actual song, like you usually do with your edits.
No, I mean that just has to do with the source material. I mean the source material from it. The full song was never in the episode itself. So instead of having a 5.1 master, mixed rip of an episode, the full song was only released on the album. And the album, of course, is only released in stereo. So you have to do a different way of trying to get instrumentals out of that, which involves subtracting the left and the right channel, inverse of the left channel and stuff, and that can lead to, you can't really remove everything if there's stuff in the stereo channels.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's what I was getting at for there. So that's the best version that we can really, really get without a lot more editing of a full instrumental for it. For the full instrumental of I've Got to Find a Way from the previous musical number, previous musical episode in the season 3 finale. When I did the Find a Way extended version, I was actually able to get around doing that subtraction for most of the song because the second verse is pretty much the same as the first verse. So I was just able to copy and paste and do some really artsy mashing of stuff together, in order to make that flow together without having to use a bad kind of subtraction rip of the CD audio for the entire thing. See, I'll be right back. I just need to. It sounds like my dinner is here, so give me one right back. I'm gonna go grab that. If you want to keep talking about the songs real quick, and then we'll continue. Just give me 1 minute.
Personally, I don't really have anything really to say about the songs. I honestly have no idea what to really say during this particular part of the discussion. So I'm just gonna basically talk here to fill the time because I don't want to have just nothing but dead air. As far as the songs go, I will say that the composers really know what they're doing. It's really just a good. They're really. How can I say this? They've got that sort of visual integrity, that sort of artistic, side to really get that sort of. I hate how my train of thought is just constantly derailing itself, and I can't string together a coherent thought here. But the composers actually know what they're doing. Let's say, yeah, they serve the narrative very well. They're spaced out well. They're not too long. They're not too short. And if they have an episode where it calls for a song, then it looks really well. I can't think of an episode where they've ever had a song where it didn't fit.
Okay, I'm back. So,
alrighty,
you can go ahead and move on. So the next part is the score, and one of my favorite things about musical episodes with the score, and I mentioned this previously in our season 5 and season 6 and season 3 musical episode discussion, is that our discussions is that of course William Anderson, who traditionally does the score for the episode, steps aside for these, and Daniel Ingram and Stefan Andrews and Caleb Chen will actually do the episode's score as well, and there's a lot of reasons behind that. Most of it is just to help with flow, since you're cramming 5-6 songs into a 22-minute episode. The score between songs is usually fairly short, and it just helps the whole episode to flow better if you have the same composers working on the songs and then just going in and doing the score. Excuse me. And it leads to some cool things as well, because you'll hear a lot of the themes and melodies from the songs appear in the episode's score as well, sometimes after a song, and sometimes they'll actually foreshadow the next song coming, and we've heard this in the previous episodes that we've discussed for here on Triple E as well. So we're just going to go and we'll start off, and this episode has a nice mix of stuff, because it has, again, that music foreshadowing, but since it has that kind of Western edge to it as well, there's a lot of very good Western music in it throughout, and it starts out right away at the beginning of the episode with Buffalo Party here. I think something happened there. Can you all hear me okay?
I can hear you.
Okay. Yeah.
My mic disconnected there for a second for some reason. Okay, let me restart that. So here again, you get this Western feel in this song here. We also get I forgot to mention that. That cheese sandwich has a cheese sense or whatever he called it, like Pinkie's Pinkie sense in it. So he has kind of like the same exact thing going on here in this this musical moment. So again, a lot of Western vibes for that. From that we get to Pinkie Pie here, and this is when she is talking to Rainbow Dash and the rest of the group about planning Rainbow Dash's birth-anniversary party. And there's a little reprise in the score of the Pinkie the Party Planner melody. This is after that song. And from here we go directly into Cheese Sandwich's introduction, and his Western style music comes back into play. That whistling in the background, it's spot on. I got that harmonica added in. Harmonica there. Very much a showdown style of music. When we get back into the more upbeat party music. And that leads right into Super Duper Party Pony there. And so this next one is coming out of the Super Duper Party Pony song. Again, kind of matching that song's tone. And you can hear the same exact melody there. If you sing along with the reprise, and Cheese Confesses, you can hear the same melody. Was a resistance party pony that I claimed. So working that in those melodies very subtly into the song, or into the score, I should say. You got that little lead in to the sad Pinkie part there after the commercial break that happens there. Some more upbeat Western style music here as they're planning the parties. Now here's a little musical foreshadowing here to Pinkie's Lament, which happens directly after this score. And that's something I'm looking forward to hearing more of in the movie, especially being that Danny Ingram and Caleb Chan and the rest of the crew are also doing the score for the movie. We'll be able to tie a lot of the songs in to the score as well. Let's see. So this is right after Pinkie's Lament there, after she gets her Moxie back. Again, that same melody there from the Cheese's song. And we kind of get to the challenge, and that's right when Pinkie Pie jumps in right there at the end there, and this is when she gives him that goof-off challenge. more intense score here. And now a big finish there, and now we get to the lead-in track to the goof off here. This is 310 to goof off, and so we got a lot more of that kind of Western style duel in this track leading up to goof off. It is really fun. The kind of the juxtaposition, the sudden change here is another kind of added bit of comedy between the super serious nature of Pinkie Pie and Cheese Sandwich in this episode when it comes to parties, and then of course parties being something inherently more fun and not serious. And it's perfectly encapsulated in the music in this episode, especially in this moment here, when we go instantly from this very, very super serious Western kind of duel music leading in, and then we go directly hard cut into the start of the goof off, which actually was really hard to do and make the beginning of my rips of goof off not sound too sudden, because it goes directly into it, this completely off the wall polka music. And it's so jarring, but at the same time so hilarious. And so this is the track that leads into the goof off when we all heard how the goof off sounds. And they of course, I add a little bit of bouncy nature to it as well. And we actually work the accordion here as well. Now we're going to get super serious. And there, right there is where the goof off starts there. So it's such a great... It's both jarring and flows very well at the same time. From there, we get to the part directly after the goof off, after Pinkie Pie crushes, or Rainbow Dash gets crushed by a giant sombrero with Pinkie Pie dancing on top of it, and Pinkie Pie has her key moment. So even though this episode was scored by Deanna Ingram and Stefan Andrews versus William Anderson, they still work in the key motif in here, which I was really happy that they were able to do, because normally, they're separate, their musical processes are done separately. Normally, you don't see a lot of overlap between the songs and the musical score. So I was happy that Daniel Ingram and them were able to work in the key, the 6 lock 6 keys motif that happens when the rainbow eyes gleam in all of the key episodes here. You'll hear right at the beginning here. And a little tiny work-in of Pinkie's lament there as she gets sad again. And go that big emotional build into the final commercial break there. So then we get to when we come back here. This is directly, I believe this is directly before Cheese's song, emotional song at the end. Origin story song. Yeah, here we go. And again, working in Pinkie's lament in there. A little bit of Super Duper Party Pony in there as Cheese is talking. Or no, that was actually when Rainbow was talking. And then I really like that little very, very soft, emotional reprise of Pinkie's lament here. And now we get to Pinkie the Party Planner here. And that leads us into that final song, which then leads directly into Make a Wish. So this brings us all the way to the end of the episode before we get any more score, because we have those three songs that end there, including the 2 reprises. So this one is the final Western-style number as Cheese departs off into the distance, and ends with another little kind of happy little stinger ending of the Super Duper Pony Pony melody here at the very end. Actually starts with that as well. The reveal of the boneless key. Getting a little more Western here at the end. And then here's that stinger. And that leads right into the credits song, which we had a lot more credits, custom credits music in the past couple of seasons, but at this time there's very few episodes that normally had different credits music other than that instrumental MOP theme that most episodes have, and those are usually reserved for the second part of 2-parters, and not always. Like that, both of the second parts of the 2-parters in season 2 had different credits music. I don't believe this second part in season 3's premiere had it. True Friend had a reprise at the end of the season 3 finale, just kind of a shortened version of the True Friend song with the vocals. And the Smile song also had a custom, which happened to be like the previous musical episode for Amy Keating Rogers. Is kind of a pseudo musical, had 4 songs in it. That one also had different credits music. So this one has it, and I really like what they did with this one, because they used to do a fully 30-second long instrumental version of the goof off with all the sound effects and whatnot, without any vocals. And it's a really fun way after that stinger. Right before the credits. This is a really fun way to end this episode here, and I absolutely love these credits. And that was added just for the credits, for the shortened credits version. They had that little shave and a haircut kind of stinger ending to that instrumental song there, which is just for the credits, which is really a really fun way to end it out. So really love that. And I love the music and the score for this episode, mixing, Weird Al kind of polka accordion music, even mixing and then of course having the Western music as the more serious Western music, and then mixing the accordion into that. It's such a well done, mixing in all these different melodies from all the songs into the score, and they continue to do this for all the other musical episodes in season 5 and season 6 as well. So I really love the music. They used Weird Al to his utmost ability. They mimicked his style perfectly. And it's just really fun to listen to for this. So that's all the stuff for the music in this episode. I know it's quite a bit, but definitely worth listening to. I love coming back to Goof Off, and I know J.E. has said this multiple times. It's one of the few clips that Weird Al will still show at his concerts. Even going forward. He usually shows the Goof Off, right? You said.
No, he shows Super Duper.
Okay, Party Pony. I couldn't remember which one it was. So he still shows. I mean, he obviously really enjoyed doing it, and has gone on to do a lot of other voice acting after this as well. And so this is really one of the. He had the guest star in Adventure Time, but this was really after that the first one he really did before he started doing all these other animated shows. Some good, some not so good. Before that, and of course, eventually going on to do Milo now, his own kind of cartoon show. So kind of getting along that. And one thing I will mention is he has a a new huge compilation thing. It's like I would love to get it, but it's really, really expensive because it's like the complete collected works of Weird Al, and you can get it like on vinyl or CD or whatever, and it's really expensive. But it's like all of his songs. But included in the collection is a special new CD, which has a lot of lost songs or unreleased songs, etc. That do it. And on that CD they have the three highlight songs that they have the full Milo Murphy's Law theme song in it. They have this one I really, really like because I really wish I could just get that CD because they have the song that he did on Wander Over Yonder in it, which of course hasn't been released before. So they have that song on it, and they also have the Super Duper Party Pony on it as well on that album. So it's pretty cool that he included that song as one of the songs on that special album there. So if you have a lot of money to blow, I'd recommend getting it. I don't think that, unfortunately, at least not that I saw that album is getting an individual release. I'd love to get that Wander. I think it's exclusive.
Exclusive to the Squeeze Box, which is what it's called.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, Squeeze Box, if you wonder what it's called. But yeah, that's pretty cool though. I guess even getting that Wander song, I'd love to get my hands on that. So yeah, that's it for the music, and obviously a huge part in this episode, not only because it's a musical episode, but also because Weird Al, and we won't get another guest star singing until Lena Hall at the end of next season, or season 5, I should say. So anyway, we'll work our way to the end here. What did everyone think of the episode's theme and the moral of the episode? I'll be right back. Just go ahead and discuss.
Don't be a dick.
Yeah.
This really doesn't actually fit that particular theme. So this episode basically makes a point of not letting your pride or excitement clouding your judgment, as you might just hurt others' feelings without meaning to. Now, alternatively, this just because that you're not the best at something doesn't mean that you should give it up, or a shared talent should bring you together rather than driving you apart. And it obviously doesn't matter if you're not the best in your area, and what matters is whether you make a worthy difference. So that's that particular moral that I've gotten from this particular episode anyway.
Your friends will all shun you if Weird Al goes down. No.
Yeah, I don't really have much to say on really the moral of this particular episode. Sorry, I didn't mean to yawn like that, but yeah, it's pretty simple, little lesson. Also like DM12 says in the chat room. I mean, it's putting it in a different manner. It's like your moral is just don't let your pride get the better of you. Don't let it cloud your judgment.
Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that. I really had to get some water.
Don't feel like a fit. You're first if someone shows up to one up you.
Yeah, in a how do we not make an in a sandwich joke when Matt was here?
That's a good question.
Damn, missed opportunity.
I guess it would have been too cheesy.
Oh god. Now we're gonna have to redo this entire episode next week just so we can do that. Okay, so what's everyone's favorite parts of the episode and any concerns that anyone might have lingering?
Pretty much my favorite parts of the episode is I really can't really mention what a favorite part is. I don't really the whole episode is basically my favorite part of the episode. I would have to say, though, if I really do have to choose what was one of my favorite parts, is definitely the revelation that Cheese Sandwich actually was inspired by Pinkie, and his revealing to Pinkie about that.
Weird Al's Weird Al giving that more emotional tone when he does that song too.
Yeah, I have a really hard time picking any of these particular thing either, because I mean the whole episode is so great, and it's not really because of one particular thing. It's everything in the episode is so great, and it's done so well. I mean, of course I love the music, but I feel like saying the music was my favorite part is kind of like a moot point anyway, because the whole episode was mainly music. So I might as well just say the whole episode is my favorite part. I really did like how the focus on Pinkie's character though, and how they focused on that. I loved focusing on that laughter, just like they do with the other key episodes, and focusing on her element there, and getting her out of it to the point where she does something kind of against it, realizes the mistake, and whatnot. And I like it was kind of like it did a similar thing to Party of One, where it really showed us how much Pinkie relies on having friends and being able to make people smile. But it did it in a lot better way, because Party of One, of course, was kind of played off as a joke. Like we got a nice view into Pinkie Pie's character in it, and it was really well done, really good episode. But at the same time, it kind of in the end, it's still played off as a joke to see Pinkie kind of fly off the rails. Here, it's treated a lot more seriously, and as funny as it is to say in this episode anything is treated seriously, but it really is treated a lot more seriously and a lot more emotional to it when we get to Pinkie's lament in this song, and seeing her really be seriously depressed about what's going on and feel unwanted, and seeing what her character goes through that. So if I had to pick something, it would probably be that, but really the whole episode is so great that I have trouble really picking anything. Yeah, really strong, really nice character development. You know, like I said, this episode has so much going in it, from it being a musical to being a key episode to being a Pinkie Pie focused episode to being a guest star episode with Weird Al in it, and in Weird Al songs, and it's just kind of it's kind of nice that they were able to work that character development in for Pinkie, even with all this other stuff in it. Concern, not enough twist, 0 out of 10. That's a legit concern. Yes, seeing what everyone else is typing here as well. This is a little bit of a delay. Well, and finally, overall feeling. Oh no, we just did that. Yeah, overall feelings and conclusions. So, final thoughts from everyone on the episode.
One of my favorite episodes of season 4, bar none.
Oh, by the way, I can't remember when we were in the visual. Do we bring up probably one of the freakiest Pinkie faces we've had in the series when she says it's like challenge you to goof off that really.
Yeah, I mentioned that really quick. Yeah, but it's worth a second mention. It's worth a second mention. That was funny.
Yeah, Pinkie, won face of the episode easily.
Yeah, no contest. Actually, one thing in the humor that we didn't mention that I just got in my head is how when we come out of the Pinkie Pie song and the opening Pinkie Pie song, and Pinkie Pie's talking about, we're throwing a birthiversary for Rainbow Dash, and it pans up to the banner that she just made and has the banner with Rainbow Dash on it, and the camera stands there for a beat, and then Rainbow Dash moves, and it's not actually a drawing of her on the banner. Rainbow Dash is just floating there in front of the banner, and then, of course there's a more crude drawing of her behind it. I just love that visual, kind of fourth wall visual, physics breaking gag there for just Rainbow Dash staying, in front of that, and then nope, it's actually Rainbow Dash. There's so much humor in this episode; it's easy for us to miss stuff. But yeah, this was my favorite episode probably of the series at the time. I know a lot of people might hate me for saying this. Probably not people here, but up to this point, I would say Magical Mystery Cure was my favorite episode of the series. I really like that, and I have a bias towards musical numbers because I love musicals. So make that what you will, but I did like Magical Mystery Cure and kind of what it did and how it used a musical number, especially since it was the first musical of the show. But this one, they really perfected that even further for the show. I didn't really think Magical Mystery here had many flaws in terms of its use of musical numbers, but this one had a little bit better flow in it than that one did, and it just really improved upon the show having musical numbers. And I'm glad they've kind of kept that going the next 2 seasons after this. We'll see if we have one this season or not, but probably not. But I do like how they've had the next 2 seasons. They've kind of had a musical episode every season, and they've really improved upon it. I think Crusaders of the Lost Mark tries to do a lot more than this episode did, and does it really, really well in the time frame given. So it's able to use the musical numbers even more effectively there. And I still think now that Hearts from a Tale is still my favorite episode of the show as of right now. But at the time, this became my favorite episode of the show. I think that the season 4 finale probably topped it. Looking in hindsight, I'm not really sure if I'd still say that at this point in the show. But at the time, I mean, it did top it eventually. But this was my favorite episode for most of the season, and it just did. I love musicals, and it did it so well, and it was such a great key episode and Pinkie Pie episode. And yeah, still up there. It's funny, I was talking to Matt about this earlier. I never really think about, I don't really make favorite episode lists. We have our bios here on the CQ site. I still have to update mine for the recent seasons, but we kind of pick our favorite episode. But even that was really hard for me to do for most seasons. I don't really pick favorite lists, but the funny thing is, if I really did, I probably would wind up, if I was listing episodes that I think are personally best and not critically best, probably 4 of those 5 episodes, the top 5, would be the musical episodes of the show, because the show does it really well, and they're really fun, and the music in the show is really good. So this one would definitely still be one of my top 5 of the series. Best Pinkie episode of the series. I'd probably agree with that. I might be forgetting some episodes. There's so many episodes of the show now, it's easy to forget individual things, and you could argue if I'm forgetting an episode, then maybe it doesn't deserve to be called the best Pinkie Pie episode, but it probably still is one of the best, maybe the best Pinkie Pie episodes. Yep. So with that, thank you all for joining us today for Pinkie Pride here on Equine Episode Examination. It didn't quite hit the 3-hour mark, but we did go a little bit longer than usual for these musical episodes, like we normally do. So this weekend, just kind of give us a rundown of kind of what is going on here. So I'll put some backing music on here as we lead out the show here. So this weekend on CQ Riffs, we'll be riffing something that has been on our list for quite a while, and we've been kind of, I guess, not doing it because other things. But if you look on the site, I believe Matt has updated the schedule for this weekend, and we will be doing The Master of Disguise, the critically acclaimed Dana Carvey movie, and I use that in the biggest quotation marks I possibly can. And we will be riffing that this weekend, I believe at 1 double check the schedule. I'm pretty sure it's at 1 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time this weekend on CQ Riffs. And then, of course, barring any huge pony news coming out this week, our next show here will be next Tuesday for another episode of Equine Episode Examination. And we're kind of getting down to the end of our Episode 4 Flashbacks episodes here before Season 7 starts. We'll have next week's episode, and we'll have the week after that. And then 3 weeks from now, we will be discussing the Season 7 premiere episodes of MLP, which will be interesting to discuss, since it looks like they're 2 separate episodes, at least in name, which will be a first for us here. So, just not much longer for that. So we have, if we pull up our list here. Next week, I already know next week's episode. I was trying to see what the next one is. So next week's Triple E episode, we will be discussing, maybe controversial episode. Be Simple Ways. This would be Josh Haber's second episode of the season, of the show, and of the season. Of course, Josh Haber being the current story editor as of season 6. So an Applejack and Rarity episode, which is great, and it has some other things in it as well, and some very suggestive moments in it. Turtle. Yeah. But that's the episode we will be discussing next week, and fitting, we will be then ending our Season 4 Flashback episodes nearly at the middle of Season 4 here. It'll be at episode 14, so just a little bit over the halfway mark. And we'll be ending that before we start Season 7 here with Philly Vanilli in 2 weeks. So again, the next Amy Keating Rogers episode, which is also kind of a pseudo-musical episode as well. So we'll have a lot to discuss in Philly Vanilli. We actually kind of mentioned that earlier in the show today. Yep. I love so many moments in Simple Ways. We'll have some stuff to discuss next week. So that's the plan for the next few weeks here on Tripoli. We got Simple Ways next week, next Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time here in CinemaQuestria. Then another 2 weeks from now, we'll be ending the first half of our Season 4 Flashback with Philly Vanilli. And I'm assuming if Season 7 has a mid-season hiatus, which signs point to probably, we'll be picking up our Season 4 Flashback as soon as the hiatus starts. Or for some reason there is a week where Pony is off. During Season 5 we had the mid-season hiatus, but there was a couple other weeks where it skipped a week, and it did that 1 week in Season 6 as well. If that happens again, we will more than likely do another episode from Season 4 for that following Tuesday's Tripoli, since there won't be a new episode to discuss. So we're getting really close to Season 7 here, everyone. We got a lot to discuss this year going ahead of us between Season 7, the Equestria, and that's another thing. We'll have to see what happens in terms of the Equestria Girls specials that'll be airing on Netflix sometime this summer. If those happen to air or be uploaded or wherever during the hiatus, obviously those will take precedence. And then, of course, we got the movie to discuss sometime later this year, probably. So, anyway, thank you everyone so much for joining us tonight, this evening for Pinkie Pride, and trying to get stuff set up here. Yeah, we'll see you next week then for Simple Ways. So. Have a great evening, everyone. Bye-bye.
Later, folks.
See ya.